Welcome to my home in Edinburgh. You see me seated on the right in my stylish gown of rose-coloured silk and rich brocade. I am Jane, Duchess of Gordon. My age, since you dare to ask, is about 38 or so, though the painter suggests younger. I've held grand parties at Gordon Castle in Morayshire, and now I'm entertaining in Edinburgh. I've become the leading hostess in the capital, and Horace Walpole has referred to me as the Empress of Fashion. The year is 1787, and this one scene is painted to show many of my society friends. But you'll be interested in my main guest tonight. I regularly invite up-and-coming artists to perform at my soirees, and Mr. Robert Burns is the most talked about poet this year. Educated and smartly dressed, in his blue coat with brass buttons, yellow striped vest, buckskin breeches and top boots, he is reciting his poem, A Winter Night. You may know how it begins. When biting borous, fell and dour, sharp shivers through the leafless bower. Let me now introduce my friends. At the back of my chair, with eager, outstretched face, is Peggy Chalmers. She's becoming a good friend of Burns. And beside her, leaning on her harp, is the raven-locked Miss Eliza Burnett, daughter of Lord Monboddo. On the right of the painting, the seated figure is the pallid and snow-haired poet, Dr. Thomas Blacklock. On the other side of me is the erect, slim, soldierly shape of the Earl of Glencairn, the first of the nobility to welcome the poet on his arrival in the capital. In the centre of the room, at the dark old-fashioned table, the portly seated gentleman is William Fraser Tytler, a sincere admirer of Burns. And beside him is the alert little figure of Lord Monboddo, his grotesque face much as it was drawn by his friend John Brown, an excellent portraitist. A little further back, and a little less engrossed, is the critic and rhetorician Dr. Hugh Blair, in his wig and clerical bands. Further back are Henry Mackenzie, the man of feeling, whose praise of Burns served to introduce his work to fashionable and higher society. William Creech, the publisher of the Edinburgh edition, and Alexander Naismith, painter of the only authentic portrait of Burns. Behind the poet, the seated figures are Dr. Adam Ferguson, at whose house Walter Scott met Burns, the placid, grey-haired Dowager Countess of Glencairn, and thoughtful Dougal Stewart, philosopher and mathematician. At extreme left, standing over a card table, the young, keen-faced Henry Erskine is making sure the players don't miss the poet's recitation. Balancing this group on the extreme right, in the soft light of a curtained window, are two servants in the Gordon liveries of white and red. They're mixing punch, but they turn to listen to my guest. At the back of the room, the painting leads your eye to a half-open door where three of my servants are listening, spellbound. Behind them, you see a passageway, a staircase window, and a gleam of sharp, clear daylight. I've invited Burns to several of my dinner parties, and I've often asked him to recite for my guests. I once confessed, Robert Burns is the only man whose conversation ever fairly carried me off my feet. I've decided to become his chief sponsor. I think he's going to write a poem about my lively dancing, especially of Strathspey's. He'll describe me as the lightest louper o' them all. Thanks for eavesdropping on my soiree. Sorry you can't have a glass of the punch. To see the actual painting, visit the Wellwood Burn Centre. You may even meet me, though I'll be in 21st century clothes.